Greetings, Earthlings. What's up, everyone? Today was a big day. We had a huge announcement about UAPs, and unfortunately, it was a bit of a nothing burger. So we won't be needing this tin foil. I'll save this for another day, or potentially for a souffle, and we won't be needing any other protection because the announcement that came out was just a bunch of documents that were incredibly hard to read, that were just listed on a website, and some photos that were pretty hard to see. So I decided to go a little bit deeper. And the best way to do that was to hand all the files over to Claude Code and build some fun stuff and put together a website. So I wanted to just use this as an example of how to use Claude Code and build something cool. So let me show you alienlist.wtf. So first I'll explain what I built. This is alienlist.wtf. I love that TLD. And it has a map. And so I'll get into that in a second. It has image gallery, an executive summary, which is just a factual account of how many records there are, where they came from, etc. Any sort of patterns that were identified across them, some cool little emojis. I added a signal versus noise section, which is more of kind of like an analysis. It explains that this is kind of a nothing burger, but that there were these kind of like four, non-trivial threads. I'm not going to get into these. If you want to look at the page, you can. The cool thing down here, and this is currently being built as we speak right now, is I've made cards where it gives a TLDR of each record. It mentions whether it has redacted stuff or which department it came from. You can get to the full PDF, or if there's a video related to it, you can get to it. And then there's verbatim quotes in here, as well as the actual source text of everything. So this gives you a really easy to look like viewer of each of these. And that happened for every single record. So kind of expensive on the tokens there. Then the map itself is quite cool because you can, zoom in to my home state, Colorado. You can look around and see, okay, this happened right here. It explains what it was, and you can get to the PDF and the summary. And I'm going to update this with the AI summary as well too, since I'm going to have that for everything soon. Let me show you how I built all this. Here we are in Claude Code. I gave it a very simple prompt that says, I'd like you to download all the files from the government website. And I want you to build a map that's Google Earth-like. I want you to ingest all the contents and give me an executive summary, as well as a browser for all of the photos. So it initially ran into some blocking problems from the site. And then it said, okay, I'm going to use the browser. So I had the Chrome extension installed. And so because of that, Claude Code was able to open up my Chrome, and it was able to go through all of that. That was a lot of downloads. So storage, does take some. I have a lot, but just keep that in mind when you're doing this type of stuff. It built a catalog, it built a map, and then I continued to go through some of the stuff just to kind of iterate on like what it looks like. I thought about, should I take donations? Should I do an email sign up? I decided just to do an email sign up in case people want to stay informed, because it's really just, just a site for this information. And then, continued to iterate through. And then there was nothing in there for tracking. So I wanted to add Google Analytics just to see aggregate data of how many visitors I get. Then I wanted to understand what I could do to make the information section over here more digestible, because I just had a table and my friend sent me some feedback. So I just basically copied all of his stuff from a text, feedback from a friend. And then it started to get to work on all of that stuff. And we started to make these cards. It said, hey, if you want me to give a summary for everything, I'm going to have to run an LLM on everything. We're going to have to use image recognition. I asked for the cost. It said it will probably be about $45. I decided to go ahead and do it. I needed to give it an Anthropic key, which of course, after this is done, I'm going to go burn that key because I won't need to use it. So make sure to always be careful with your keys. Essentially, it was just some more iterations. It's hosted on Vercel, just directly from having a GitHub depository. Really easy to just set up a repo, copy that repo over, and then that then auto populates to Vercel. Then for email, this is something new that I had never done. I didn't want to pay an email service. I just wanted to capture emails. Doesn't work still, but it will. I set up Redis Upstash, and that's a free service that will collect emails. And at this point, it's just continually going through the remaining cards here that haven't been updated to the new format, and it should be done in about 30 minutes. But that is basically how to create a relatively cool looking website that has this one is so funny that they even included it, that has all of this information from a source that was highly unreadable. All right, hopefully that was useful. Over and out.